All right, so now we're gonna get started on a really good recipe. I love braising beefs. I'd say that is definitely my specialty. And today I'm gonna come up with a recipe that I've never done before. So this is tri-tips, and I normally don't work with tri-tips, but considering that we have a little bit of time to braise it, and considering I had some prosciutto, I had some pancetta, I have a whole bunch of stuff that I really need to make the tri-tip taste good, because it's not like, you know, you're braising with a ribeye, stuff like that. There's already fat, there's already flavor. Tri-tip is kind of lean and it needs some work. So let's get started adding some oil in here. So we're gonna take our onion, and again, it doesn't really matter how you cut it. We're just gonna give it a quick julienne here and throw some onions in there. We turn it right back to the fire. Now, we're gonna start to add some other things like our pancetta that we have here, which is gonna help give us a fat content. It's gonna help us give us flavor. We're gonna give that time to cook. Now I have prosciutto here. Now this is good quality European prosciutto. And that's why I'm really not gonna salt this dish, because between this and the supersata, it's gonna give us the salt that we need. It's gonna give us extra pork flavor. And what's good about this is at the end of the dish, you're not even gonna know that we put anything else in there besides the beef. Let me cut this in half so you can see. Now this is good stuff here. And you squeeze it, you see how that fat comes out? You know, I mean, some of this stuff, you could swear that it's like plastic and tubing. I mean, it's so horrible. This stuff is good. It's good quality stuff here. You know, it's worth it. You spend the extra money, and it's good. My grandmother always used to say, when it comes to tightening the belt and being cheap, don't do it with your stomach. So put only good quality products, and your body will thank you for it. So now we're just going to give a rough dice on this supersata. And this supersata is actually infused with a little bit of Parmesan cheese, which is really not going to change the flavor that much or really add to it. This is looking really good. Now, we're going to take a little bit of our wine. I just want everybody to take a look at this before we actually deglaze it. You notice how everything is nice and brown and coming together? That's exactly the point where you want to deglaze. See all that come up? Beautiful stuff. Good sound there. All right, next we have a pear that we're going to put in here. Now, you know, you might be saying to yourself, why is he putting a pear in? Because I'm looking for a little bit of a sweet flavor. Got a lot of salt in here. Just a lot of salt-cured meats and everything else. We want something to cut through it. Again, you're going to cut this so small, you're not even going to know it's a pear in there. So, and you know, putting a potato in there would be great if you want it to be thick, but I got another thickening agent that I'm about to put in here. I'm going to show you in a minute. That we're going to leave out the potato. We're going to put something in there that's a bit more healthy and it's got more fiber. All right, we got our pears. We're just going to throw them in there. And again, they're going to cook down. I mean, you can smell this already. It's coming together, right? Now we got our pears. It's cooking down and starting to kind of see this robust flavor coming at you. We got beans, regular navy beans, right? That's what I use as a thickener most of the time. So we're going to take our beans with our spoon and just smash them a little bit. All right, so we'll throw that in there. I mean, immediately I'm whisking this up. With the exception of a couple of whole beans, you can't even tell that's beans. Now, add the beef in here. Make sure you submerge it in the liquid. Maybe I don't need all of this. I definitely don't. So, let's just throw enough of that. Now, microgreens here just to garnish. A little bit of tomato sauce on top. And now this is a good starting point right here. Braise it for, you know, a couple of hours. You'll be fine throughout the show. We'll be taking it off. It'll be good at that point, but you really, if you got 4 hours to braise this baby, that's the way to braise. Hold on a second. Before we go on to the next thing, here's a little bit of beef stock. I want to mention this because I'm obviously not going to use all this, and it's almost impossible to measure because you just don't know what you have until you get in there. So from this point, if you could see this point here at home, we're going to submerge the beef completely in liquid. Gonna finish the rest with the beef stock. This is just a regular beef stock I cooked with. I used some bones, I burnt them in the oven, a little bit of onions, a little bit of carrots, and I strained it. However, if you don't have the time for that, there are some decent products out there that you could buy that are low sodium, that are gluten-free, and you can pick them up and pour them in. Now we're just gonna go over with the beef stock. And you're gonna see as this cooks down, it's gonna get dark and nice. All right, we're gonna get cleaned up. Up next, deep fried calzones. Don't go anywhere. All right, so now we got our braised beef looking love here. Next we have some oil. Let's talk about this sourdough calzone that we're gonna be making here. So we have some sourdough bread, right? What we're gonna do is take some ricotta cheese and we're gonna make our mixture. We got 1 egg. I've got so much cheese that's going in here, you really don't need the egg, but I put one in there anyway. So we have some Grand Cru cheese in here, a good amount. And we're gonna season it with a little salt and cracked black pepper, always fresh, of course. We ain't opening up none of that canned black pepper. All right, good. All right, so we got our cheese in there, and what I wanted to talk to you real quickly about was this cheese. This is fresh mozzarella cheese, right? It's rolled with prosciutto and sun-dried tomatoes. And I'm actually gonna put a nice wedge of this right inside of the calzone. You're gonna love it. And I only fry calzones. Now, nothing against all the bakers out there that like to bake calzones, but there's nothing like a fried calzone. All right, so now you know you got enough cheese in there. It's not going out. The ricotta's not going to bleed out. Nothing's going to be too watery. All right, so we got our paste going on. We're going to leave it there. Now, next we take our dough. A little bit of flour on the board. Nothing major, you know. Take our dough. So I'm going to flatten this out. So let's just say, for instance, we're getting 2 out of this baby, right? We cut this in half. All right, now, I like to season the inside of the dough a bit. So take a little salt. Take a little pepper. You know, if I had some pesto, basil pesto, might work perfect down there. What we're gonna do first is take our mozzarella roll and give a nice piece in there. Let's put it right in the center. Take some of your ricotta cheese. Again, you wanna put enough to where you have enough inside of the calzone, but you don't wanna put enough to where it's gonna be a mess. And there's definitely going to be some trim here. So you see how I'm kind of taking this? And if it might be easy if you just go around like this. Or you could do it with a knife. This might be easier for you. Okay, so now you have this completely closed up, right? Now, what you're going to do on hot oil, because hot oil is your friend right here, is you're going to take it. You're going to move it around a little bit like that until you can feel that your fingers are going in the dough. And you're going to drop the dough down away from you. And you're going to shake the pan because you want to make sure none of this stuff sticks. So you see how the dough is actually just kind of floating in the oil? Now this stuff browns quick. You see how thin the dough was on one side. This baby's going to cook in a matter of minutes. Float it around again. See how it's getting nice? Nothing like a fried calzone, folks, I'm telling you. I think that's about it. It's quick. All right, here we got our one. And you can feel the steam in there already, nicely. Now, brick of chocolate here. This is extra dark. We're going to cut a few nice big chunks. All right, so now we're going to take our chocolate-covered peanut butter. And our chocolate-covered peanut butter needs no introduction, folks, because there's nothing better than chocolate and peanut butter. Now, before I go into the next kind of phase on how to complete this dish, the next recipe that I'm going to do is a steak with an incredible barbecue sauce on top. And if I don't get that steak on the back burner now, we're not going to have enough time. So let me just leave this here for 2 seconds, talk about this steak. It's an incredible New York strip steak, right? All you do, salt and pepper. That's it. Because I got an incredible rub coming up. And go right on the grill with a little bit of oil, right? And have a little bit of oil right on our griddle, our flat surface. Looking good. Looking good. And we're going to go right down. All right, so now going back to this. We'll take 1 scoop of ricotta because you don't want to overdo it. We're going to take our oil back to the fire and close this up. Same way that we've done the calzone with the mozzarella. All right, now we do the old test. All of our ends are closed up on here nicely. We're going to take our calzone. You see how it's bubbling now? That's what you want. Put a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. Drop it away from you. Done. Shake the pan. Take your spatula. Just move it around a little bit. Good. Perfect. It pulls away nicely. It's going to brown up quick. We're going to turn it around the other side. We're going to put it here. I'm going to cut them in half and show you what they look like inside. All right, we're good. We're done. So we're going right in here. Be very careful. This is hot. Wouldn't be a bad idea to do what I'm doing here now. All right, so now we have it. I just want to cut one of these babies open for you. Got our plate. Take a little bit of a garnish. And let's cut these open and see what they look like. See what I'm talking about? Now that, to me, is a calzone. All right, it's not oozing out the side. The cheese is still in there. One thing I can't stand, and this is why I make my own calzones, because you go to these places, you buy a calzone, it's like you bite into it, you get mozzarella. You bite into another piece, you get ricotta. Forget about if you have ham, you're trying to fight for a piece of ham. It's just not, make your own. It's easier and it's less aggravation. So here you go. That's our first one. Next, we have our chocolate one. Pierce the top because you don't want to smash. You don't want to let all that air out, that steam. Nice. That's what I'm talking about. See that? Combination of chocolate, ricotta. It's good. Good stuff. And that peanut butter. Good. I'm going to put it on the same plate. Forget it. All right? Same plate. So that's our first one. Now, let's talk about what's going to go into this dish. Now, this is going to be a rub. I don't want to call it a dry rub. It's sort of like a wet rub. And what we're going to do is first take some peanut butter. Put it in there like so. Next, we're going to put a little bit of wasabi root in there. It's going to give us a kick. It's going to give it a little heat. Now, here's some of the other ingredients that go in here. Coffee grinds. That's the first step. A little bit of grapefruit juice. It's going to take your rub to the next level. Now, a mixture of garlic powder, onion powder, dry garlic. You want to put a good amount of that, salt, pepper, and then we have some butter here. Puts a couple of dabs of butter. And we're going to mix this up until it's thick and pasty is what we want. That's it. Just these ingredients. That is going to produce an incredible topping for our steak. Okay, so now since we want it mid-rare, we're going to leave this sitting right over the top. You're going to put a couple of dollops on it. Take some raspberry wine. I'm going around the steak. Take yourself a pot and close it because I want to get all those flavors to circulate. And I want that rub that I put down to seep over to the steak. And this is on a very low temperature, so don't worry about steaming the steak and damaging it, making it rough. It's none of that. We're going to get cleaned up, folks. I'm going to dish both the steak and this incredible beef stew, so don't go anywhere. Okay, so now we're going to take a little bit of microgreens and season them with a little bit of avocado oil. And just with your hand, very gently, kind of mix the greens. And of course, if you put any type of acid in there, it's just going to eat them up. Okay? Take a look at this, folks. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This caked up beautifully. So we got our microgreens. We're going to put down right in the center. Okay? We're going to take our spoon. So here's our first dish, our first beef braised dish. Look at that gravy in there, that nice thick sauce around here. That's all from just giving it time to cook down, right? A little natural thickener. We're going to take a little bit of this Allicin flour and put that right on top. And that, my friends, is a dish, okay? We could be proud eating that baby. Okay, we're going to bring it over here. And you see what I'm talking about? It stays at the top. It's going to give it incredible amounts of flavor. When I cut that baby in and everything just seeps in, forget about it. And again, we could take this and put some microgreens over here, because these greens I've selected go really good with steak. I'm going to cut some strips of steak here. Right on here. Try to be as neat as possible. You know what I mean? I mean, because eating is with your eyes, first of all, anyway. Now, what I'm going to do is throw some extra greens on top of the middle. One on top here. And we're good to go. Well, I'm going to enjoy my wine and eat my steak. I hope you do the same at home. And thank you for watching this fun-filled episode of Taste This TV. I'm your host, Chef Joe Ciminera. Remember, there are no rules in cooking. Taste this.